the growth of solar energy changed the way many countries viewed their land. For years, photovoltaic parks offered a compelling promise: clean, quick to install, and increasingly cheaper electricity. However, this promise came with a physical constraint that was impossible to ignore. The panels needed space, lots of space. Each megawatt installed required hectares of open, clear, sunny land connected to the electrical grid. And in many cases, this land coincided with agricultural areas. The conflict became acute when large solar plants began to expand onto productive fields. For an energy company, a large, flat, and inexpensive rural plot was ideal. For a farming community, that same land could be part of its local economy, its food security, and its productive identity. Solar energy, while necessary to reduce emissions, could transform plots that previously produced food into areas dedicated exclusively to electricity generation. The traditional design of solar parks exacerbated this problem. The panels were installed close to the ground to reduce structural costs, lower engineering expenses, and maximize the number of modules per hectare. The rows were close enough to optimize electricity production, but not far enough apart to allow the passage of tractors, seeders, or harvesters. The space beneath the panels remained in permanent or partial shade, with limited access and little agricultural value. In many cases, it was only useful for weed control, beekeeping, or grazing small animals. Agrivoltaics broke that mold. Its principle isn't simply planting crops around a solar farm, but rather designing a system from the ground up where agriculture and electricity generation are simultaneous functions of the same field. To achieve this, the panels can be raised several meters above the ground, spaced further apart in rows, installed vertically, or mounted on mobile structures that adjust their angle throughout the day. The field ceases to be a passive surface covered by technology and becomes a productive structure. The key is that shade is no longer interpreted as an automatic loss. In a conventional solar park, every shadow represents wasted electricity or unused space. In an agrivoltaic system, shade can become an agricultural tool. When managed properly, it reduces soil temperature, limits evaporation, protects sensitive crops, and moderates the impact of heat waves. The goal isn't to darken the field, but to regulate radiation. This idea is based on an often ignored biological principle. Plants need light to photosynthesize, but they don't always grow best with maximum light. Each species has a light saturation point. Beyond that threshold, receiving more radiation no longer translates to increased biomass production. On the contrary, excess heat forces the plant to expend water to cool itself, increasing heat stress and reducing growth efficiency. In dry areas or during extreme summers, a crop exposed to direct sunlight all day may suffer more than one protected by partial shade. That's why agrivoltaics works particularly well with certain crops. Lettuce, spinach, tomatoes, berries, and some vegetables can benefit from moderate radiation, especially when the heat threatens to exceed the plant's physiological limits. Partial shade doesn't eliminate photosynthesis. Instead, it can keep it within a more stable range. The soil retains moisture for longer, the roots work under less aggressive conditions, and irrigation becomes more efficient. The technological shift also affects the machinery. In elevated installations, the panels are mounted 3, 4, or 5 meters high, allowing tractors and agricultural equipment to work below with much greater freedom. This feature is crucial because a system that only allows manual cultivation has limited reach. To become a large-scale agricultural system, agrivoltaics needs to coexist with modern mechanization. The height of the supports, the distance between columns, the type of crop, and the width of the machinery are all calculated together. From there, the field is transformed into a hybrid structure. Above the crops, the panels generate electricity. Below, the soil continues to produce food. Between the two levels, water, air, shade, heat, and data circulate. Weather stations measure solar radiation, humidity, temperature, and wind. Soil sensors indicate when irrigation is needed. Control systems can adjust the tilt of the panels to allow more light during a critical growth phase or to create more shade during a heat wave. The plot ceases to function as a traditional agricultural space and becomes more like a biological and energy factory managed with real-time information. The most significant transformation in agrivoltaics lies in our understanding of light. For centuries, the agricultural imagination associated direct sunlight with fertility, growth, and abundance. This relationship remains largely true, but climate change has introduced a new tension. The same sun that drives photosynthesis can also dry out the soil, raise leaf temperatures, damage delicate fruits, and increase irrigation demands to unsustainable levels. In this context, shade becomes a technology. Not accidental shade, like that of a lone tree or a passing cloud, but shade that is designed, measured, and adjusted. Solar panels now serve a dual purpose. They capture energy at the top and create a microclimate at the bottom. Between the photovoltaic module and the crop, a different environmental layer emerges. Less direct radiation, lower extreme temperatures, less evaporation, and greater protection from hail, wind, or heavy rain. Berries clearly demonstrate this potential. Raspberries, for example, are high-value crops, but also very sensitive. Excessive heat can affect their quality, hail can destroy a harvest in minutes, and wind can damage traditional protective structures. In many European farms, these crops are protected with plastic sheeting stretched over long rows. Agrivoltaics replaces some of this sheeting with solar panels, transforming the protection from a passive cost into a source of electricity. In commercial projects in Europe, panels installed over raspberry plantations demonstrated that crop yields don't necessarily decline when the system is well designed. Early models, with overly opaque panels, blocked more light than was desirable. Later designs appeared with greater spacing between photovoltaic cells or with semi-transparent modules that allowed some radiation to filter through to the plants. The result was a covering capable of generating energy while simultaneously allowing enough light to pass through to sustain crop development. Protection from extreme weather became one of the strongest arguments. During summer storms, plastic covers can tear or come loose, leaving the fruit exposed. The panels, on the other hand, form a more rigid and durable barrier. When hail strikes an agricultural area, the difference between an exposed and a protected crop can mean the difference between total loss and almost complete preservation of the harvest. For high-value products, this protection alone can justify the investment. Water is another key element. In regions where irrigation represents a growing portion of agricultural costs, reducing evaporation becomes as important as increasing yield. The shade provided by the panels keeps the soil cooler during the hottest hours of the day. By lowering the temperature, moisture loss decreases and irrigation frequency is reduced. In some systems, water demand can drop significantly during dry periods, not because the plants need less water to survive, but because they waste less water trying to cope with the heat. There is also an inverse relationship that benefits the panels. Plants release water vapor through evapotranspiration. This process slightly cools the air around the crop. When solar panels operate in a cooler environment, they can function more efficiently because photovoltaic cells lose performance when they overheat. Thus, the crop helps the panels, and the panels help the crop. The system ceases to be a simple superposition of infrastructure and agriculture. It becomes a physical interaction where both modify each other's environment. This logic allows agrivoltaics to be applied in different formats. In elevated structures, the priority is to maintain the agricultural use of the land with conventional machinery. In vertical row systems, the panels are placed as energy walls, often with bifacial modules capable of capturing light on both sides. This design leaves large swaths of crop between the rows and can reduce wind speed, which helps limit erosion and moisture loss. In arid regions, vertical panels can also act as barriers against desertification while generating electricity during periods of low sunlight, such as morning and afternoon. Bifacial panels further expand these possibilities. Unlike a conventional panel, which primarily captures radiation on its front face, a bifacial panel also harnesses light reflected from the ground, light-colored roofs, or vegetation. In agricultural systems, this allows for less invasive designs that are better adapted to the flow of sunlight. Efficiency depends not only on covering the largest possible surface area, but also on organizing the landscape so that radiation circulates effectively. Artificial intelligence and sensors take the concept to another level. A modern agrivoltaic field can constantly measure soil moisture, plant stress, available radiation, weather forecasts, and electricity prices. With this data, the system can decide whether to tilt the panels to maximize electricity production, allow more light in during a growth phase, or create additional shade before a heat wave. The farmer no longer manages just one crop. They manage a dynamic balance between energy, water, light, and profitability. This complexity also explains why not all crops are suitable. Some plants need full sun for much of their cycle. Others tolerate partial shade, but only at certain times. Some machinery requires more clearance, certain soils don't easily support heavy structures, and some financial models only work with high-value crops. Agrivoltaics isn't about covering any field with panels and expecting automatic profits. It requires agronomic design, energy calculations, and local knowledge. Even so, its potential increases as the climate becomes more extreme. In a scenario of longer summers, recurring droughts, and violent weather events, protecting crops can be as important as fertilizing them. Controlled shading ceases to be a limitation and becomes a defense. The solar panel ceases to be merely an energy source and becomes part of a climate architecture. Scale is the point where agrivoltaics ceases to be an experimental curiosity and begins to become infrastructure. A small trial with vegetables under panels demonstrates an idea. A commercial berry plantation tests a business model. But a large-scale agricultural system demands more: land, investment, clear regulations, electrical connection, maintenance, and real farmer participation. One of the simplest paths to this scale was solar grazing. In thousands of hectares of photovoltaic parks, vegetation grows between rows of panels and must be constantly controlled. If left unchecked, it can increase fire risks, hinder maintenance, or shade equipment. Traditionally, this control requires machinery, fuel, labor, or herbicides. The introduction of sheep changed that equation. The animals graze under the panels, keeping the vegetation short and taking advantage of the shade during the warmer months. This model doesn't turn the solar park into an intensive agricultural field, but it does demonstrate a powerful idea. The land under the panels doesn't have to go unused. It can produce services, food, wool, milk, or meat, while simultaneously reducing maintenance costs. Sheep are particularly well suited because their size minimizes the risk of damaging modules, cables, or structures. They find shelter from the sun under the panels, and the plant owner reduces land clearing expenses. The image of flocks walking beneath rows of photovoltaic arrays encapsulates a new category of rural landscape: energy pasture. However, the most ambitious agrivoltaics go far beyond livestock grazing. Their goal is for entire commercial crops to operate within a solar array. To achieve this, the project must resolve a number of challenges. The first is height. Elevating panels allows for the passage of machinery and improves agricultural efficiency, but it increases the cost of the structure. A taller installation requires more steel, better foundations, and wind resistance. The second challenge is density. The more panels installed per hectare, the greater the potential electricity production, but the less light available to the plants. The third challenge is operational. Farmers need access, scheduling, electrical safety, and the ability to repair systems without interrupting production. The economic balance depends on these decisions. Compared to a conventional solar farm, an agrivoltaic system is typically more expensive due to its engineering, height, materials, and crop-specific design. This difference can raise the cost of electricity. But the calculation changes when the agricultural value, water savings, climate protection, and income diversification are factored in. The agricultural sector is no longer dependent on a single harvest. It can sell both produce and electricity. If a drought reduces crop yields, the energy can sustain some of the income. If electricity prices rise, the system becomes more profitable. If a storm destroys neighboring crops, the physical protection provided by solar panels can preserve production. For many family farms, this diversification can be crucial. Modern agriculture faces narrow margins, rising fertilizer and fuel costs, pressure from droughts, and price volatility. Agrivoltaics introduces a more stable source of income because solar radiation is more predictable than the agricultural market. Furthermore, it allows rural communities to participate in the energy transition without completely losing their productive base. Instead of selling or leasing land that is no longer agricultural, they can integrate it into a mixed-use model. Regulation remains one of the major obstacles. When a plot of land produces both food and electricity, traditional legal systems don't always know how to classify it. It may still be agricultural land, but it also contains energy infrastructure. This ambiguity affects taxes, subsidies, permits, insurance, grid connection, and usage rights. Questions about ownership also arise. The farmer may own the land, but not the panels. One energy company may operate the plant, while another company buys the electricity, and the farmer maintains the crops. Without clear contracts, the model can generate conflicts. There is also social resistance. Many rural residents reject large solar installations due to their visual impact, fear of losing agricultural landscape, or distrust of outside investors. Agrivoltaics can reduce some of this opposition by preserving productive activity, but it doesn't eliminate it. If agriculture is used merely as an argument for installing panels without any real benefits for the countryside, the promise is weakened. For the model to be accepted, it must demonstrate that agricultural production continues, that farmers participate, and that the community receives value. Mass adoption also demands technical expertise. It's not enough for a solar company to simply install panels and then figure out what to grow underneath. The design must begin with the crop, the climate, and the soil. A raspberry plantation doesn't need the same amount of sunlight as a wheat field. A system for sheep doesn't require the same height as one for combine harvesters. An area prone to hail needs panels and structures designed for superior protection. An arid region might prioritize water conservation and erosion control. Every agrivoltaic installation is a negotiation between biology, engineering, and economics. In the most advanced systems, this negotiation becomes automated. Mobile panels can track the sun to generate more electricity during certain hours or position themselves to protect the crop during a heat wave. Humidity sensors can activate irrigation only when needed. Cameras and algorithms can detect plant stress. Weather stations can anticipate strong winds and reposition the panels accordingly. The field becomes a network of continuous decision-making. This model aligns with increasingly precise agriculture. For a long time, increasing production meant expanding land area, using more water, applying more inputs, or mechanizing more. Agrivoltaics proposes a different approach, producing more value per hectare through the intelligent integration of functions. A hectare is no longer measured solely by tons of crops or megawatt hours, but by food, energy, water conservation, climate resilience, and economic stability. Its importance increases when we consider the global pressure on land. The expansion of renewable energy requires enormous areas. Food production also needs fertile soil. Urbanization is encroaching on agricultural land. Erosion is degrading millions of hectares. In this scenario, strictly separating each land use may prove insufficient. The rural future could depend on multifunctional territories, fields that produce food, energy, biodiversity, shade, protection, and data. Agrivoltaics will not solve all of agriculture's problems, nor will it replace all conventional solar farms. There will be regions where it is not profitable, crops where it doesn't work, and projects where complexity outweighs benefits. But its progress demonstrates that the conflict between panels and crops was not inevitable. It was, to a large extent, a design problem. By elevating structures, modulating light, and coordinating agriculture with electricity, solar fields can cease to be enclosed areas and become complete productive systems. In the landscape of the future, rows of panels no longer have to herald the end of the countryside. They can signal its transformation. Beneath the metal structures, raspberries might be protected from hail, vegetables growing with less heat stress, sheep tending vegetation, sensors measuring humidity, and farmers selling energy in addition to food. The picture changes completely. It's no longer about panels